Welcome everyone to the Leaders Lounge podcast. My name is Karen Neckelman, and today we are with Dr. April Sutherland. She is Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources at Center School District, and with Chalita Middleton. She is Director of Human Resources Secondary for KCK Public Schools. Welcome, ladies, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. So before we start with the topic today, can you both tell us a bit about your background?
Of course, yes. I am an educator who enjoys working with people, building relationships. I come from a background. I started out as a special education teacher. And so I've also been a special education teacher, a paraprofessional, instructional coach, administrator in certain areas, and a assistant principal. But I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I've worked in a few districts. I enjoy working with people. And so I didn't start out wanting to be a teacher. I didn't even like school. So a lot of people were like, how did this ever come about? So just having that person that had inspired me to maybe try something different. And so that's how I started out with special education. And so that's kind of my background. But my dream job and my dream goal was to be Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. And that's where I am today.
Congratulations, then.
Well, thank you.
I have been in education now for about 27 years. Wow, that's crazy to say that. But I've taught in Ohio, Michigan, and in Indiana, and currently I'm in Kansas. So I've been a principal, an assistant principal, a reading interventionist, a classroom teacher, of course, and now director of HR for secondary here. I always wanted to come into HR. So when the opportunity came, I definitely took advantage of that opportunity. And I too like working with people, but I think working with the adults is just a different perspective. In this seat, is very different because we're working with staff, we're working with principals, and I actually enjoyed that part. I will say I do miss working with the students consistently, but I definitely enjoy my day-to-day because it's different every day. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay, thank you. So their topic today is HR partner. How can I help? So what does being an HR partner mean to you, and how has your role evolved over the past years?
Well, first of all, I just want to share how we came up with HR Partner. So I worked with Chalita in previous for 2 years as an HR director. And when we connected, we thought most people did not like the feeling of coming in and talking to HR. And we wanted people not to see us as, oh, somebody's going to get fired or something bad, but to see us as we're your partner. We're here to help you with the policies. We're here to help you with the rules. We're to help you to be engaged. So what that means to me is I'm human and I believe you're human. We're going to show that different empathy side. I'm going to be able to talk and relate to you. Don't look at it as something bad. Look at it as I'm partnering with you. So over the years, now this will be going into my 3rd year as assistant superintendent. It's so many layers of different things that I have to deal with, not just with people, with conflict resolution, with the different investigations. And people are afraid sometimes to be honest. And so I think when I say I'm partnering with you, if something is going on, I want to be able to talk to you and get to it. And I want you to be comfortable in your space. I want you to feel free to voice your opinion. I want you to be free to know that we're here to help. And so my role from being a director is I had one part I was over with the elementary, and now I'm over everything in HR. and it's a video that goes on. It's like, what does HR do? And it goes on and on and on.
I'm going to add to that because our HR partnership, the way that we work, that's where they really saw the partnership. They thought that we knew each other before we started in that role, but we did not. But we did come to an agreement that we are going to walk lock and step. We can bounce ideas off of each other as we go along. And then also get that feedback. And so that allowed us to be the best partner for the principals, the best partners for the executive directors, and the best partner for the department leaders, because we had a partnership and we knew what we wanted the department to look like and feel like, and we knew what we want that reputation to be out there to everyone else, because HR comes with a bad stigma. So we were like, how can we make it so that, like April said, they're comfortable with that? It starts with what they see from us, and that's how we started that whole partnership. And then April didn't add the other part, but we used to always say, how can we help you? We watched the New Amsterdam series together, and the doctor always said, so how can I help you? Whenever someone came and was complaining about something, and he let them say what they needed to say, and then he would just say, how can I help you? And that became our motto and our mantra when people came into the space. That is how we were able to transform our HR department that year.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about your partnership. What have you learned from working together?
Even to this day, even though we do not work together, we still call each other like, listen to this. Do I make sense? Does this sound right? Does this look right? How should I present this? We still bounce ideas off of each other in that partnership. So we have a trust that, we are thought partners. We can problem solve together and get to what we need to get to the end line, even though we're in different districts. So we recognize that partnership and that camaraderie is important in the spaces that we hold. And so we hold each other accountable in that way.
And we also learn, even though, like, I'm in a smaller district, she's in a larger district, you still have to do the same things. So being able to have that networking and have that connection. She works with people that I'm like, can you go ask? And so we can connect. And so I think sometimes people feel like in smaller districts, well, you don't need the people because you're smaller. Your district, your staff size is a lot smaller. But guess what? We still have to do the FMLA. We still have to do the workman's comp. We still have to do the onboarding. You still have to do the same things. And so after working with Chalita, we became very creative. And so I wanted to bring that back. And so we talk, how can I do that in a smaller space with a smaller budget, with smaller amount of people? So we've learned that you can still do things, but the key thing is you have to collaborate and you have to use the skills of what you have with the people you have.
Mm-hmm. And how do you ladies feel that HR professionals support employees beyond hiring and onboarding?
Oh, well, like in this seat right now, we are working through master schedules. It's something that I haven't done. This is my first time doing that, but I'm actually sitting down with the secondary principals to actually look at, like, hey, you have a vacancy now. We know we can't fill it. What will that look like if you collapse your schedule? We can't get a long-term up possibly. So just being able to problem solve with them, and help them in that capacity, because they're like, okay, am I going to get someone? Am I not going? And I'm like, maybe not. So what do you need to do to make that adjustment? Being able to do that beyond that hiring process. I've been a principal, so sometimes they're just leaning on me to just say, hey, how would you handle this situation? Or how would you present this to your team in order to get them on board and things like that. So I do offer that type of information and or advice, even though I'm not the executive director. They do call on me to give them those supports and things like that.
And one of the ways that I support here in the district is principals have a lot on their plate, like Chalita stated. Also, but I've been a principal as well, so I've gone to the school. I've gone to school to step in. I've stepped in a classroom. I stepped in as a paraprofessional. I've worked in the lunchroom. We have a software system that you have to put in time. It has to be done at a certain time. People have been gone. They'll call me up. Can you take care of this while you're gone? The whole key to how we help beyond hiring and onboarding is to build that relationship with our staff. So anything we tell them all the time, and Chalita and I did this when we worked together, You have a play, you have something, invite us. You want us to come read, we will come to whatever you want. We want to come to your classroom. We'll meet. We can talk. We can even talk to your students. And so those are the type of things that I love to do. I love when I'm invited to read. I love when somebody says, can you be a substitute? Like, and it's funny because Chalita said she missed the kids. And I said, I do until I'm wore out that day. But I mean, just being able to step in and they feel comfortable with, trusting that we do that. And so sometimes I get a lot of calls. It's just for, it might be venting. And I say, you have to be careful because if it's something that I feel that I need to look into further. And so just having that trust and maybe giving that guidance of, this is how you can handle this. A lot of people are afraid to have courageous conversations. And so that is something that I like to do. People say, oh, you just like to, you're not scared of conflict. It's not that I'm not scared of conflict. I'm scared of what's going to happen if you don't handle conflict. And so being able to help people, I walk principals through, this is how we role play, what the meeting should look like, what you should say, what you shouldn't say.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the biggest challenges school districts are facing right now, and how can HR help address them?
Recruitment and retention. Okay, it's probably another one. But nowadays, we all know that teaching has always been a hard job. So you have to want to be there. You have to want to be there for the kids. But it's not easy. And I think sometimes people think coming into teaching, oh, that's the easy job. It's not an easy job. So being able to bring students in bring teachers in and teach them and make them want to be there and be with our students. And so keeping them for the next year, knowing that first year may not be the best. And I think professional professional HR and just staff members in general need to take that in consideration, that teaching is a little different that it may be when we talk, and being able to, what I hear the most in exit interviews, that I didn't feel like I was heard. I didn't feel like I was valued, and I didn't get any support. So I always ask, what does support look like to you? Because of course I take it to the administrator and they said, I did support, but what did you do? You told them that you showed them. Did you build a relationship with them? So keeping people go to work the majority of their life. So that has to be a home environment. It has to be somewhere people feel like they can get along. So I say recruiting and retention, it's a place I love by Walt Disney. You do it right, you show them, and then they'll bring other people along. If they don't feel good or right, they're not going to bring other people along. So I've said a lot, but retention and recruitment, what we have to do to make those some priorities.
I agree with April. One of the things that we did when we worked together is we created the Rise and Retain journal for administrators. It was a monthly, we had each month, there was a quote, there was an activity, there was some journal writing so that they can focus on how they're building culture climate in their building, which supports retention, which is very important. Last year we did Thrive and Belong. And this year I had to bring April on board because we are going to do a Rise and Retain stack. And what that stack is going to look like is 3 cards per month with a quote, activity, or something like that the principals can use, not in journal form, but kind of in card form. But when we started it, it's something that we haven't done every year, but now we're just trying to build on it and make it better because we see that it is working. We see that it's beneficial. Some of the buildings that had a high turnover rate every year. This year, we're like, oh my God, you're 100% staffed and no one left. What did you do? And when they say, hey, we use the book, I use these ideas, I use that idea, that's what's helping us. So retention is very important. We also stress that it started in the building. Like, we get them there, but you have to keep them there. So having that conversation with principals. I'm going to also say the other part of that is teachers have options. And if we are not able to communicate why we are the best option for them, they are like, I can go somewhere else. One person asked me earlier this week is, why do you come to work every day? And I had to say, I come to work not only because you got to pay your bills, aside that, but you come to work because of the people you work with. And how do you make that a good place? So you're building those relationships, like April said. You're laughing to stop from crying. All the things are happening, and that's important. And so, when we're talking about what we're facing, we know that that retention piece is important, not just in the classroom, but in our central office roles and our department roles. All of those things are important. So we are telling everyone, and we're suggesting to them, like, how are you getting them on board? How are you making them feel that they are valued, that they are heard, all those things? And we're just, giving them a catalyst to help that.
Mm-hmm. So to finish the conversation, sorry, do you want to add something up?
Oh, ours was called Strive and Sustain. Same journal, but we did Strive and Sustain.
Okay. So to finish the conversation, if listeners could take away one lesson about leadership, relationship, and supporting others, what would you want it to be?
Leadership is not about titles. It's about influence and impact. Being able to make a difference. And even though people see us as the leaders, it's how we influence them, how we speak to them, how we treat them, how we value them, and what's the impact. It's a saying that says, if you're a leader and no one's following you, there's a problem. Okay. So you want to build people, like we always say, bring other people to the table, use those skills, make sure those skills are being utilized, and make people feel welcome and want to be there.
I will add, when you're supporting others, take the time to listen, because they're not always direct in how they need the support, but it's in the words that they're saying, it's in their body languages and all of those things. They're telling you the support that they need, because a lot of people don't know what they need. You just have to figure that out, and it's through the conversation and the listening. So that's very important when you're trying to support others.
And we used to always say, invest in your people. Invest in them.
We're investing with people. That's part of the relationship.
Okay, well, April and Chalita, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to have you sometime again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you.